We were broken, now we bend. Seen it time and time again. Answers blowing in.
Hey, so today we're talking about a couple of lenses for the Fujifilm GFX system, the GF 80mm f1.7 and the GF 55mm f1.7. Hopefully this video can help you if you're trying to decide which of these lenses might be the best fit for you. I'm going to give you my thoughts on the lenses and show you some examples from weddings and also from a recent portrait session. The 55mm is one of the newest GF lenses from Fujifilm, so it's slightly more advanced than the 80 in terms of autofocus, but largely these two lenses are very similar. They have a similar build, similar apertures, a similar price, and even a similar focal length. So which one is right for you, or is it worth it to get both? Let's start with talking about what is similar. Both of these lenses are well built. They're really sharp and they create really incredible images. And both of them are well suited for various types of photography, anything from portraiture to landscape work. Kind of look over. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, nice. Let me try one that's looking out. Yeah, there you go.
Shine a light on all that's hidden. Strike a match to what's forgiven. Do the best with what we're given. Come on now, amen, let's live in love.
The 55mm has a 44mm full frame equivalent, while the 80mm has a 63mm full frame equivalent. Both have a maximum aperture of f1.7 and a minimum aperture of f22. They have the same filter size, 77mm. They are almost exactly the same size and weight. In my experience with these lenses, the 55mm has a slight edge in terms of autofocus. It's a little bit more difficult to achieve focus with the 80mm than it is with the 55mm. But otherwise, the experience of using these lenses is pretty similar. You know, you do feel a little bit tighter with the 80, you feel a little bit wider with the 55, as you would expect. Other than that, these lenses feel very similar. So when would I use the 55? When would I use the 80? So the 55 is great because it's slightly wider. It's also slightly more versatile. So for example, me being a wedding and event photographer, it's a lens that I could use to capture both portraits, details, landscapes, pretty much everything. I'm not limited really in any way. It is a fixed focal length lens, so there is some inherent limitation, but the 55mm, that's like a 44mm full frame equivalent. It's a really great focal length. It's almost like a slightly more compressed 35mm lens. You can basically shoot anything you want with that focal length, which is really awesome. On top of that, the autofocus is pretty good and it's tack sharp. It's also a really bright lens. So it's really an excellent choice for something like wedding photography. And it's also a great choice if it's the first lens you're investing in the GFX system because it is so versatile. The 80 has a little bit more magic than the 55 in that compression. It's slightly more compressed, so it just can create really, really stunning portraits. If you know anything about medium format photography, you probably know about the Contax 645 and the famous 80mm lens for that system. This is the GFX version of the 80mm, and it's just an incredible lens for capturing portraits and details. And like the 55, it is versatile, but because it's a slightly tighter focal length and it has slightly slower autofocus, it's not as versatile as the 55mm. It's more specialized. So this is definitely a lens for those beauty shots, maybe details. I would say that the 80 is more successful in some cases with portraits because it has less distortion than the 55mm. I do notice sometimes if I'm shooting with the 55 and I'm up close with the subject, there's a little bit of distortion, which is not terrible. It's just slightly stylized, but I do think that the 80 is a more successful portrait lens in more scenarios, but you do lose a little bit of that versatility that comes with having a wider focal length. It's a lens that will make you slow down a bit more than the 55mm. So I would say if you have the 80, you would definitely want to pair it with something wider. Whereas if you're using the 55, you may be able to get away with just using the 55 for a bit and not having a second camera to pick up. So I think for most people, if you're looking for a versatile prime lens for your GFX system around a 50mm full frame equivalent focal length, the 55mm is probably the way to go. If you're someone who knows you're going to use your GFX camera for just those beauty shots, those details, then maybe the 80 would be better for you. If it is already going to be a specialized camera for you, maybe getting the 80 will help you make those beautiful dreamy shots that you're after. I think both lenses offer something unique, something special, and if you can have both of them in your kit, maybe it would be worth doing that. Maybe you could start a wedding day with the 55mm and transition to the 80 for portraits. That's kind of what I've been doing in my testing. I really love both of them for shooting portraits, but both lenses are really high quality. They produce incredible images, so whichever way you go, you can't go wrong. These lenses are incredible, and the GFX system is really impressive. So it really comes down to you and your style and the type of work that you're creating. So what do you think? Have you shot with these lenses? Are you planning to? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you're new here, consider subscribing to the channel. I'd love to see you at the next video. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.